What's going on, folks? Happy Thursday to you. Welcome back. My name is Markus Thomas. Welcome to the Pro Fan Talk. It has been a minute. I have been went on a quick little family trip. Got to see some good people, see some of my family. But now I'm back, and of course, all of that happened after a week after the draft happened. So I never did get a chance to do my little recap. But we're going to take care of that today and talk about some other stuff. But as usual, the NFL is a gift that keeps on giving. Always news coming out. Then we got the Sixers heating up in the playoffs. They get started tonight for Game 6. Phillies are finally getting it together and warming up. Bryce Harper's back on the field doing his thing. And surprisingly enough, the Philadelphia Flyers are in the news with Jonesy getting hired in on the executive board. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that, man. But Philly is in the news as usual. And of course, we're hearing all this noise about Micah Parsons and the 40 whiners are still whining. And it's like, it just never stops, man. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into a little bit of that today. Got a great guest for you today. But want to recognize my pops. Number one out the limo. I see you, Sean. I see you, Mom. TK, I see you. I see you, Vince. I appreciate y'all as usual. Rob Povia, what's up, fam? Brian Daly, what's good, man? Facebook user. What up, coach? You agree with the poll. Sweet. It's gonna be a good night, Brian Daly. Brian, I figured you'd be excited about the Flyers. Man, we haven't talked about the Flyers in a hot minute, and it really hasn't been a reason to. So now they're starting to bubble up just with the changes. Now I don't know how that's gonna translate with how good they're gonna be, but we shall see. But as usual, my first five out the limo are brought to you by FanUp. FanUp is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports. Daily NBA and MLB contests and more. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use the promo A2D for 5,000 bonus points, a $50 value. Go to fanup.app. There we go. Go to fanup.app, and that's it. My first five out the limo. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. So let's get this started real quick. One of the things I wanted to do right off the bat, told you I went down south, went to Atlanta, visited my twin sister, attended her son, my nephew's graduation. That's why I'm rocking the Georgia Tech gear. He graduated from Georgia Tech, ROTC for the Air Force. This joker graduated top 10% in the country. When I tell you he knocked it out of the park, he knocked it out of the park. He did his thing. He's going to flight school in the beginning of June. I believe he has to report June 5th. So he is officially a second lieutenant in the Air Force. Congratulations, Daniel Wilson. Man, I was so proud of you. Just want to let you know I'm proud of you, brother. I love you. Keep doing what you're doing, man, because you are changing the world, bro. Do that thing. Do that thing. But we're going to jump right into it. I got a special guest for you tonight. Joining me tonight is my friend Ian Cummings. He is a draft analyst from ProFootballNetwork.com. Let me bring him in. Let me see. Let me get. There we go. There he is. What's going on, Ian?
Nothing much. We've had some time to decompress since the NFL draft, which has been fun. I'll tell you what, man, heading into that third day, I think I had a total of 3 hours of sleep from the previous 2 days, right? So it's a grind every year, but it's fun. You know, it's what we live for. Now we got the schedule popping up today right now. So the NFL never sleeps, but the draft was the big event for sure this past month.
Man, it's the gift that keeps on giving, man. That's what I said earlier, man. But that what for you was the biggest thing when Jalen Carter dropped like he did?
That was one of the bigger things. Yeah, you know, I kind of expected it to a degree, right? Because there was a lot of smoke around that heading into the draft, you know, but it was one of those things where you know he's only going to fall to a certain point because he is so talented, right? And we kind of saw that with the Eagles. Once he reached number 9, it's like, all right, we're going to make a slight move up just to make sure we get him because he's that talented. He's a blue chip guy.
Definitely, man. And then Nolan Smith dropping all the way down to 30. And as with Jalen Carter, same thing with Nolan Smith. Everybody wants to jump on social, and it's like everybody's trying to find red flags. I didn't see none. Maybe I was looking in the wrong spots. Did you see anything that would constitute a red flag for somebody like that to drop like that?
Not for Smith. I think for Smith in particular, it was, there is some room for him to refine his pass rush arsenal a little bit more. I think the idea of him is a little bit better than him right now as a pass rushing threat. But, you're looking at a hyper explosive, incredibly bendy rusher who has very good flashes in that department. And for his size, too, already a very, very good run defender, too. So I think with him, it was just, as athletic as he is, as talented as he is, that size was going to be an issue for some teams, but at the end of the day, he wasn't going to make it out of round one because of those high end tools.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I was not expecting it to go the way it did. I thought for sure that Detroit was going to pick up Jalen Carter, and then they just flipped the script and get Jahmyr Gibbs. I didn't see that coming a mile away, and I'm like, are they just that sour on Swift that quick? As good as he was last year, that was a weird one for me, but it basically shook up the draft.
Yeah, that was a fun one. That was one where, I could see it. Like a lot of people kind of gave the Lions shade for that. It's like whenever there's a pick that I don't necessarily agree with 100%, it's like, all right, well, you got to prove it to me. But I can kind of see
Right,
where you're coming from there because with Jahmyr Gibbs, I do think his ceiling, he can be a little bit better than Swift. I think he's a little more versatile right now as a receiving threat. You look at his ability to split out wide, run routes out of the slot. He's a very versatile, dynamic player. And I think that explosiveness, that twitch, that all around versatility and dynamic ability really makes him special. So I could see why they used him. I'm really intrigued to see how Ben Johnson in particular uses him because we know that Ben Johnson as an offensive coordinator knows how to scheme the ball into his playmakers' hands, knows how to isolate them with one-on-one matchups. So very excited to see what they do with that. That's one of those picks where, maybe a little rich for me with the positional value, but
right.
he's so versatile. I can see what they're going for.
Yeah, and I was surprised with that. We had two running backs in the top 10. Didn't see that coming. I knew somebody was going to get Bijan. I never thought that the Eagles were, even if he would have fell to us, I still think, unless somebody would have grabbed Jalen Carter, I still think if we would have had the choice of the two, I think the Eagles would have went and got Jalen Carter anyways. But just to see two running backs, me being a running back as well, one of the things I've been noticing the last couple of years, man, my position is we going the way of the CD-ROM, dude. It's like a true running back. True running backs are becoming extinct. Everybody's a hybrid now. Everybody's Debo. Everybody's Pollard, Gainwell, and just like Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs, you got to be able to catch the ball now. A true running back, heck, even a true fullback. They don't even draft fullbacks no more. A fullback is a tight end, basically. So it's very interesting to see how my position has just basically gone away to Dodo Bird, man. We're extinct. We're fossils.
Hey, the good thing is there's always going to be a place for running backs because, you pass to gain the lead and you run to keep the lead to play that time of possession game, right? So there's always going to be a place for that no matter what. So I don't think they're going to go completely extinct, but I mean, you are right. No matter what type of running back you are, you do need to be able you need to be able to provide value on passing downs, whether it's as a receiver or a pass blocker in particular. I think that's almost just as important for NFL coaches, right? Because they want you to be confident and they want to be
Right.
confident in you on the field protecting your QB too. So, I think that versatility is definitely a bonus, right? Sometimes guys get drafted like Dwayne McBride. We saw him go to the Vikings. That guy is basically just a runner, right? Like he
Right.
barely caught any passes in college, right? It's just his contact balance, his physicality. So it does happen, but there's an especially big premium on those guys who can do it all.
Yeah, I'd be surprised how many guys like King Henry are going to come out going forward.
Mhm.
Are they looking for just the hybrid type guy that can do it all? Because that's where it seems to be, especially the way these offenses are evolving into that style. And I'll be really interested to see this year what all of these OCs are going to do, especially if you got somebody like Richardson out there. I want to see what the Colts are going to do. Are they going to run the RPO like he did here with Steichen? He's got the same type of tools, so that'll be very interesting. And as much as everybody talked down about it and poo-pooed on what Jalen Hurts was doing, it's the system and all that kind of nonsense. He proved that you could do it, be effective, and do it consistently. So NFL's a copycat league, so I'm looking to see a lot more of that this year,
Yeah,
especially
for
with a
sure.
lot of these athletic quarterbacks.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the modern NFL is just all about threatening defenses as many different ways as you can with the personnel that you have, right? So there is going to be a place for guys who can stand in the pocket and deliver and be that prototypical cerebral quarterback, right? But, if you can provide a threat with your legs, right, that adds so
Yep.
much more to your game. And we saw that dimensionality on Richardson's tape where, even though his accuracy isn't quite where you want it to be, and he's a little hot and cold sometimes on the operational standpoint, as you'd expect for a younger quarterback, his athleticism can bail him out of so many situations. He can create with that, right? So I think there's an avenue to build around that. It helps him withstand adversity early on in the NFL, and it just adds a whole other dynamic to his game that other QBs don't have.
Right. And the flip side of that, you got to evolve on defense.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me to we're talking about this Georgia thing and people dropping. We had the same thing happen last year with Nakobe Dean. Except he fell to the third round, which was just ridiculous. And I felt bad for him because like somebody put information out and you cost that man millions of dollars. Yeah. That's not even funny. But it's my opinion this year, Nakobe Dean, we're going to be looking at Nakobe Dean next year, and we're going to be pissed off that Gannon didn't play him more. That's what I think is going to happen. We're going to be like, man, why didn't we have him in the game more last season? With everything that Gannon's going through, with the tampering and all that kind of nonsense, I think Nakobe Dean's going to step in. He's going to be the leader. I think our secondary is in good shape. A lot of people are down on Reed Blankenship. I'm not. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's pretty cerebral. He plays a smart game. He knows his limitations, and he plays to it. So he showed me that he belongs in this league. I don't think even though we do have great competition in our secondary now, I think he's deserved or he's earned a spot this year going into the season, because I know it's so hard to it's so hard to judge people in camp now, because I don't call them two-a-days, I call them new-a-days, because they don't do nothing, they don't hit. So the job of scouting and really figuring out what you have on your team is a lot more difficult, because it really all comes down to what you do in the preseason game now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think having competition is very important for that, right? In the off season, right? Having guys who can, egg guys on and kind of drive them forward, right? That competition is a very important element of it. That's why you see these teams, they don't stop at their draft picks. They don't stop with their undrafted signings. They go to the tryouts. So like, who's the guy that we can add to this 90-man roster and say, hey, right, he's going to make the other guy better. So that's a very important element. And you mentioned that safety room, Reed Blankenship, obviously made some nice plays down the stretch. I remember scouting him at Mid-Tennessee State, and he felt like a guy who, had underrated athleticism, all around ability, good football IQ, right? And, he translated in year one, right? But then they got Terrell Edmonds in free agency too. They got Kevon Wallace. I think, that's a talented room, which at the very least, not completely settled right now. We don't know what it's going to look like, down the road, but at the very least you have that talent, and those guys can kind of drive each other forward, which is good.
Yeah, man, and I got to give some love to like guys like Reed. You said Middle Tennessee. That was what used to be. I don't know if they're still in that conference now, but I'm from Eastern Kentucky. Mm-hmm. So that used to be the Ohio Valley Conference, Middle Tennessee, Tennessee State, Eastern Kentucky, all of those schools down there. So got to give some love to the 1AA boys, man. But this is something that I wanted to talk to you especially when I saw you on Sports Tape with Rob and Barrett and Derek Gunn. I got a pet peeve nowadays, because what is it with all of these media heads that don't watch tape? Like what? Like I know you study. Like I try to tell people, if you really want to learn the game, you can look at Baldy. I know Barrett Brooks watches tape. Greg Cosell is somebody that watches a lot of tape. So there are sources you can go to, and what they know what they're talking about, because they study film. But we have a rash of all of these media heads on TV that don't watch tape at all. It's just all highlight based. And that's where so much crap gets spewed out. That's why so many people are wrong. And it's like, dude, if you watch the tape, you would have saw that months ago. So what are your thoughts on that? As somebody who has to study tape, watch college ball, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's difficult. I try just to focus on what I can do, and what I can do is watch tape, right? Just actually do my, get my inputs in there, right? But it's what you put out there is a reflection of the work you put in, right? So I think, for me being an NFL draft analyst, it would be irresponsible for me to do anything less than, having an informed opinion that I could provide to you, right? And so that's why, you see me in March and April rattling off these, thoughts on players, right? I've been watching tape for a long time before that too. Usually, most of your film observations are done in January, February, at the latest, right? So, you have to put in the work if you want. And, like, hey, if you really wanted to, right, you could probably get some hot button words out there, like some hot takes, and just like, hey, just kind of glaze over it, right? But, the quality of the work, I think, is reflected in, how much you put into it. And I think it's not only better for the audience, right? They learn more, but it's also better for you because you can go back, you can more honestly reevaluate your own process because there's more information to go off of, right? Like every year, I haven't been doing this for super long, just a couple years full time. So I'm still learning every year too. So, the only way to truly learn and kind of apply things year after year is to really go all in and just do everything you can to get an informed opinion, see where you went wrong, see what you got right, and then reverse engineer it and keep moving forward. I feel like, people do themselves a disservice if they don't put the work in.
Right. Right. Did you get a chance to check out the size press conference today?
I did not know.
No. Okay. So he said most of the standard quotes, cliches, and all of that kind of stuff. So didn't say anything out of the ordinary, man. But that kind of goes back to what I was saying about how difficult it must be these days to evaluate players and get a good evaluation in training camp because they just don't bang like we used to bang, man. And the difficulty it is to kind of really figure out, you're going to have your guys, the draft picks and all that kind of stuff, but you got to have your backups. People are going to put on special teams and things of that nature. Do you see, I don't see him changing too much. He's going to tweak some stuff to make it his own. But as much as we didn't like Gannon, you can't argue with the results because at this point we just nitpicking. Mm-hmm. We had a bomb defense. We were breaking records. We should have broke, the all-time sacks record, but we couldn't, get home in the Super Bowl because we were on skates. But that's a whole nother story. But what are you expecting from him, especially with all these new pieces we got on the board? How do you think he's gonna change some things?
Yeah, and I'll admit, like, I'm not an expert on scheme, right? I'm more of a draft analyst, guys with traits and stuff. But I do think the personnel is in place for you to there's already kind of a framework to go off of, right? Jordan Davis, obviously your first round pick from last year. He's gonna be your nose, right? Your odd fronts, your bare fronts. Obviously, you want him. You've got some disruptive 3-techs alongside him in that rotation, right? You've got really speedy, bendy edge rushers who can get outside at 7-tech and even wider, and Nolan Smith and Hassan Reddick. I think, that's a good framework to go off of. I think having that versatile front with that centerpiece in Jordan Davis, it's a great front to build off of. And then having the versatility in the secondary too. I mean, it helps to have two veterans on the boundary, Darius Slay and James Bradbury coming back. But then a lot of those safeties are multifaceted. They can perform multiple roles. And I think, having those guys flow alongside each other too is going to be very good. So I think at the end of the day, for any defensive coordinator heading into a new team, the best thing that you can ask for is versatility. And this personnel group seems to have it from top to bottom. So I'm excited to see what he does. I think there's flexibility for him to add his own flavor, but also work with the good elements that are already there.
Right. Do you see any other undrafted free agents or available free agents of note that are still available that you could possibly see the Eagles snatching up?
That are still available? I can't say for that. I haven't been keeping up with it. I know a lot of teams signed a lot of guys, but looking at the Eagles class in particular, some guys that stood out to me, Eli Ricks was one for sure, Alabama corner. I didn't have him. I had him as an early day 3 guy, right? So a little bit lower than he was in the preseason, but still draftable for sure. Doesn't quite have the long speed that you want, but I do think, he's got really good length and physicality at the line. That's one thing that really showed up for him. Once he earned the starting job for Alabama midway through the season, he really took it and ran with it and was actually pretty efficient in coverage. So, I think he grew with his technique. I think that physicality, he can disrupt receivers at the line. He's got great ball skills too. So, I think there is an avenue for for him to kind of learn behind those veterans along with Kelee Ringo and potentially be a solid depth guy for you, maybe take some rotational snaps. I think he's got talent for sure. Mickey Garner from LSU was also in that group, if I remember correctly. He was an intriguing one for me because he came over to LSU from Louisiana, but he's around 6'2", over 210. He's got a really strong frame, very explosive athlete, and a vertical plane, right? I don't think he has elite fluidity. So I think maybe he's a guy who you convert into a hybrid safety role, let him use that versatility kind of with the rest of the safety guys. So I think there's some intriguing traits to mold there too, but I'm blanking on the other undrafted free agents. I know they signed quite a few good ones. Joseph Nada from Clemson was another one, 6'3", over 210. He had some nice reps at the Shrine Bowl too. So physical guy, with enough burst to work upfield. So I'm excited to see how that group pans out. We know they got a gem with Blankenship last year. So, I don't doubt they can find some others again this year.
And what was the guy? Did he get drafted or did we sign him? The kid from Texas.
The defensive tackle.
Yeah,
the Moro Ajomo. Yeah, he was a round 7 guy. He was a top 100 prospect for me, man. That was a very good value deal. I think 6'2", 292, 34.5-inch arms, elite explosiveness. He had a 33-inch vertical, ran a 5.08 40-yard dash, I think. So got to see him in person at the Shrine Bowl, and he was just plastering dudes off the line, driving them back 10 yards with that power capacity, man. He's a little raw as a pass rusher, but already a strong run defender. And I think those traits, just using those traits and molding that potential, man, he can be a really good rotational piece, I think.
Man, he looked like an engine block on the move, man. And just all of that strength coming at you. I'm like, how do people like that drop? That's always my question. Is like,
it's tough, man.
The tape you saw yesterday is the same tape that existed 4 months ago when you made your top 100, and probably a lot of other people's, man. But it's weird stuff. And I also saw we signed, what's the kid's name from Louisville, Trevor Reed.
Yeah, the offensive tackle. Yeah,
that's a big boy.
He's a big boy. He's athletic. I think he had a 38-inch vertical at his pro day. So this is a guy who is incredibly athletic. The tape definitely needs some work in the technical area. He is very imbalanced. The balance is a big concern for me. The technique, I think he's really raw. You're basically working from the ground floor up. But I mean, he's big. He's really long. He's well leveraged for his size too. And that the athleticism does pop. I mean, that short area agility and change of direction for his size, being able to recover and explode through gaps like he does. I think he's got a lot of talent, right? At his max, you can get him as a swing tackle, potentially good depth piece. But, there's work to be done, but the upside is really there.
Yeah, he stayed at tackle, and I was curious. I don't think he played any at guard because we're known for moving folks, especially on this team. But somebody like him that is raw, that does have some work to do, he's in the right place because Stoutland University is the place that he needs to be. Somebody that big, and come on, man, you learn him behind Mailata, you learn him behind Lane Johnson, and still you got Kelsey running the show. So it's funny, man, at all of our positions, at wide receiver, at offensive line, secondary, maybe not so much at linebacker, but all those 3 core positions, man, we got veteran depth, and we've got these guys that can shep these young kids coming in. So when Bradbury and Slade, when their time is over, we got 2 young boys coming in there. Reed Blankenship will be, a seasoned vet by that time if he stays healthy. Of course, the big thing is if everybody stays healthy. That's always an X factor. But we've got some great depth. I'm very curious to see how our personalities line up, because I think that was a very understated bonus for us last year. Our personalities, we had the right balance. We had a loud talker like Slay. We had somebody that was kind of quiet and reserved like Bradbury. And then, of course, on the line, you got Cox and BG. And then you didn't really hear nothing from Hargrave. He just kept sacking folks. Milton Williams just kept getting in. And then, of course, you really don't hear much from Hassan Reddick, but he was just a beast last year. We had a really, really good balance of personalities. And, of course, QB1 steering the ship. Everybody was pointing in the same direction. And I was trying to say last year, you don't see that very often at the pro level, where everybody's heading in the same direction. Everything is balanced. Everybody's on the same page. That is very, very difficult in today's NFL.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like it's important too to have the variety of voices in the locker room. You mentioned guys with different, some guys are a little more, outspoken. Some are a little more lead by example, right? But having that variety of voices, right? Every culture is a little bit different, right? But you don't want just one flavor. You want guys who clash and kind of counteract, but also complement each other, right? I feel like that's an important part. That's how you bring unique elements into each locker room, and it seems like the Eagles definitely have it. They've definitely, made an effort to maintain that veteran depth, and I feel like that's something that goes overlooked sometimes in the roster construction process. Even on the draft analysis side, like getting a guy on day 3 who's a very good locker room ad, right? Just something like that, just glue guys, right? That goes overlooked. You don't always think about it as being as important, but it can really make a difference with the makeup of a team. So that does have an impact, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. Got to draft that guy to keep the guys out the club.
Exactly.
Got to be able to do that.
All
right. One more question for you, and I'm gonna let you get out of here. I'm gonna take you back a couple years because I'm a running back. Our running back room is pretty tight. We got, it's weird. Boston Scott is our veteran right now, but he's not going to be a starter. So it's probably going to be Rashad Penny. Gainwell, I'm not sure what he's going to do. It's probably going to be between Rashad Penny and Swift. Then you got Gainwell. Then you got Scott. And then you got Trey Sermons. I want to take you back a little bit. What were your thoughts on Trey Sermons? I'm like, why is this guy sitting just kind of behind the scenes? I don't know what the hell happened in San Francisco, because I thought he was a big kid, had decent speed. I guess maybe he just got behind CMC and Debo and couldn't see the light of day. But do you have any insight on that kid? I thought he was a good kid coming out, but he just hasn't panned out. Or maybe he just hadn't had the right opportunity. What do you think?
Yeah, that was kind of interesting to me because the 49ers picked him in round 3 and then never gave him an opportunity, point blank, right? And we're kind of seeing a similar thing happen with Tyrion Davis-Price just this past cycle too. So I don't know, the 49ers, man, it's a valuation thing, because I thought Sermon was worthy of a mid-round selection, right? I think he was a little more of a north-south guy, right? But again, you mentioned, really big physical guy who, when he gets into seams, can use that leg drive to churn through tackles and kind of stay on his feet too. So I liked that north-south physical element, because within that frame, like you said, he had enough speed to work upfield, enough physicality to finish runs forward. So, that element of his game being that efficient physical finisher, I thought he would have had an opportunity. Maybe he didn't quite fit the zone scheme that they ran, right? So maybe that kind of played an effect. But, I do think he can at least be a rotational piece for you. I look at that Eagles backfield, man. I think there is a lot of opportunity upside, particularly with Rashad Penny, if he can stay healthy. Because last year, if I remember correctly, when he was healthy, I think he led the league in yards over expected, right? So, he's a guy who's a very efficient runner when he is healthy. That's the thing with him, because it can be so streaky with him staying on the field, staying available. But if you can, man, you've got a great value deal at running back. You've got a guy who can really, I think, shoulder the load. So I'm excited to see what happens there.
Yeah, we had the same issue when Miles was here. The whole injury thing. So hopefully the way we run our running backs, we don't have a true running back. We're going to piecemeal it and running back by committee. So hopefully that'll keep on the field, because he is a big back with good explosive speed, and that's what we need. But Ian, I appreciate you, brother. I'm gonna let you get up out of here. But before we go, let our audience know where they can catch you.
Yes, you can find me at IC_draft on Twitter. We are full throttle in 2024. I'm going to take a quick vacation next week, but after that, we'll be full throttle. So any questions you have on 2024 NFL draft prospects or 2023 guys and how they fit their teams, let me know. Hit me up. Always happy to talk draft.
And that's profootballnetwork.com, correct?
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, Ian Cummings, I appreciate you, brother. We will definitely have to do this again, man, the closer we get to the season.
Yes, sir. Hit me up whenever.
Right. You got it, man. Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Take care.
Great guest. Appreciate Ian for coming on the show. This joker knows his stuff. If you watch it like we were talking about earlier, if you want to get somebody, if you want to follow somebody, get your info from somebody that watches tape, that watches the games, knows what he's talking about, understands what's going on, why somebody did or did not do something, progress, or excel in an offense or something like that. He's the kind of guy you want to watch and follow, because he's going to give you good information, right? He's definitely going to give you good information. So just saying what's up to some people that came in a little bit later. I see Rashard84. He likes tight ends. Okay. I ain't mad at you. What up, Don Don? You always got to give a shout out to Don Don, man. Don Don is starting to become like Norm was on Cheers. Every time he walked into the bar, everybody said Norm. Every time Don Don is in a chat, everybody's like, Don Don, what's good? So one above all is a fan of Blankenship. I am as well. I don't know where that came from. where people are just wasn't high on him. And I'm like, well, what did he show you to think that he wasn't going to be that dude, or at least be able to step up adequately and be a good player in that spot? I don't understand that. I guess people want a bigger name. I don't know. Again, I'm like, y'all saw what I saw on tape. He made the most of his opportunities. Like I said before, he is not the fastest guy in the world, but when you're playing safety, you don't really need to. You just need to be at the right spot. So, but we have a boatload of competition at several positions. Our running back room is deep, and our secondary is deep. And like I was saying before, man, with Slay and Bradbury, and let's not forget Avonte Maddox. Avonte Maddox was that dude before he got hurt. In my opinion, if Avonte Maddox doesn't get hurt, I believe he is in the position that CJGJ was in. I believe Avonte Maddox would have 4 or 5 picks. And I don't think Gardner Johnson would have had as many. He still would have balled out, but he would not have had as many. And tell you what, man, the one thing, I don't know if I've ever said this about CJ Gardner Johnson, but one thing I had to give him props for. In that Super Bowl, when he came up and laid the wood on Pacheco, I was like, man, that's how you deliver a message to somebody. And Gardner Johnson is not the biggest dude in the world. And I'm a fan of Pacheco because Pacheco runs hard. That joker runs hard. And Gardner Johnson came up, filled that gap, put his shoulder pad in his chest. I thought he was going to fumble the ball. I thought that was our opportunity to cause a turnover and get the ball back. But so shout out to Gardner Johnson, but he's with the Lions now. Not our problem anymore. Should have took the first off, but we'll see what happens. But we got Vince, I'm with you, bro. Our pass rush. We are not going to get 78 sacks again. I don't see that happening. Unless Hassan Reddick just goes off and he starts off right where he left off. So, admittedly, Gannon said himself, Hassan Reddick could have had more sacks if he hadn't dropped him back in coverage so daggone much. So, hopefully, that's something that Desai is not going to make the mistake of doing. Hassan Reddick knows what he is. Everybody knows what he is. Even when he went to when he was drafted with the Cardinals, man, you saw what he could do. And then what happened when he went to Carolina? He sacked Jalen Hurts twice. But it's always interesting when you see you got a player, you know what that player does. Play to his strengths. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to outsmart everybody. Know what you got. Know your personnel. That's what that means. You hear me say that a lot. Know your personnel. If this guy does this thing well, let him do that thing. Don't put him in another box. Don't have him doing something that he's not proficient at. Let him do what he does until somebody proves that they can stop it. Very similar to what we were saying last year about our running game. We knew that the threat of Jalen Hurts running the RPO will never go away. Never. That will always be there. So you use that to your advantage. Make that the decoy. Because nobody can stop our offensive line when we run in the ball. When them jokers get going, especially now with Rashad Penny and Swift and Gainwell, I can see we having a 3-back set and you shift and you put Gainwell and Swift on the line. And you got a total mismatch with linebackers. So there's a lot of different things we could do. I really, really, really hope that Brian Johnson utilizes our screen game once again. We've got too many horses in the stable not to. Rashad Penny is going to be your tackle-to-tackle back. Now, I don't know if they're going to have him out of gun formation or we're going to put a little bit of ace in the mix so he can go downhill, but he's fast enough and explosive enough to get outside. We already know what Swift can do. We already know what Swift can do. And I think people are underselling Gainwell. I don't think people really understand how good Gainwell is. I believe if something would have happened to Miles Sanders and Gainwell would have been the guy, we would have been just fine. And I was a fan of Miles Sanders because I thought Miles Sanders was a home run hitter, and he proved it. He proved what happens when you give him the ball. He proved it. Behind Lane Johnson and that whole offensive line, anybody can run back there. And now we got big, fast backs. Like I was talking with Ian, I'm very interested to see what happens with Trey Sermons. I think he's going to end up going somewhere, and you can be like, dang, we had him here, but we were too talented in that backfield. But the three-headed monster that is Rashad Penny, DeAndre Swift, and Kenny Gainwell. If y'all have never seen it, man, go back, jump on YouTube, and you look at Kenny Gainwell's tape when he was, I believe, at Memphis. He had some studs behind him, but Gainwell was not coming off the field. They couldn't stop him. And I think people are either because his name maybe is not big enough, or I don't know, but Gainwell has got skills, man. Gainwell has got skills. Frank, bro, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I meant to bring that up with Ian, just forgot. But I think Sipos is out. I think this kid is this the kid they call Legatron? Because he had a 72-yard punt. I don't know if that was in the wind, with the wind, or what the situation was. But when they give you the name Legatron, you roll with it. So I'm thinking, we're not gonna have no more punting problems. And if not for nothing else, Zentner, I believe he can kick too. He can punt, and he used to do PAT last year. So he can do double duty. So if we need an emergency kicker or something like that, he's that guy. So I'm thinking that. Also, what's his name? Zacchaeus Olimade? Zacchaeus, the guy we got from Atlanta. I'm hoping that somebody's going to step out and just be a threat on special teams. I don't dislike Covey. He got better towards the end of the year, but I think we can find somebody better. Covey is fast, but Covey reminds me of somebody that, like, when he runs, like, it's almost like he's running, he's moving, his legs are moving so fast, he has a hard time changing direction. That's just that's what it looks like sometimes. That's why I started calling him Crash Test Covey, because it looked like he was moving so fast where, you know how you ride your bike so fast and you don't make that corner, so you just fly over the handlebars? That's what Covey looks like when he does punt returns. Now, granted, like I just said, towards the end of the year, he looked much better. So I don't know if he got with a better coach, or he learned some things, or maybe he's watching film on Eric Metcalf or something like that. I don't know. But he did look much better towards the end of the year. So I want to see what some of these guys can do. I want to see what are we going to get out of Devin Allen? The kid is fast. You know he's got track speed. You know he's got straight line speed. Can he get them hips down and get out of a break and get separation? I'd like to see what he can do, because that type of speed, man, you talking about world class. You can say it. World class speed. He's got it, and we should be making the most of it. But I don't know. He's gonna have some competition. Jameer. Hey, Don, listen. I had to tell you, I got to tell this story. So I'm down at Georgia Tech. I bought this because, my nephew graduated, right? So I'm at the graduation, and who is the commencement speaker but Harrison Buckner, the kicker for the Chiefs. So of course they're playing Super Bowl clips, and they show the clip where he kicked the ball to give the game to the Chiefs in our Super Bowl, and I'm the only one in the stadium booing. I'm like, I don't care. Matter of fact, when they showed the clip of him kicking the kick, I turned away. I was like, nope, I ain't watching. So I was the only one booing, but I thought that was funny. But yeah, I had to rock the GT to represent. So yeah, it was funny, bro. It was funny. I was the only one in the stadium booing, and I was like, I do not care. I was gonna jump up and do an Eagles chant, but I think my sister would have punched me in the eye because I didn't want to bring any unwanted attention on her son's graduation. So that'd have been bad on my part. So we kept it in house, but it was in the heart. So, but it was fun, man. Oh yeah, the schedule. Let me find that real quick. Bring that up on the iPad. I saw a leaked version. It's supposed to be officially released at 8:00, but I got a leaked version, and it has week 1 at the Patriots, week 2, the Vikings. Then we are at Tampa Bay. Then we got the Commanders, at the Rams, at the Jets. Then we got the Dolphins, week 7. Week 8 at Commanders. Week 9, we got the Cowboys. Week 10 is our bye week. Week 11, we are at the Chiefs for Monday Night Football. So that's going to be the rematch of the Super Bowl. Of course, that's going to be Monday night. Week 12, we have the Bills. That's going to be a pretty good game. Then, of course, week 13, the 49ers. I'm so sick of all of this mess that Debo was talking and all of that kind of stuff. Wasn't nobody in Philly worried about the 49ers. Nobody. Then he comes out with this stuff like 100%. We're the team that he hates because of all of the talking that we're doing. Like, ain't nobody saying nothing. Y'all the ones that keep talking. And at the end of the day, let's keep it 100. Let's be realistic about this. If the situations were flipped, if Jalen Hurts would have gotten hurt, and our backup would have gotten hurt, and they would have ran all over us, they would have been saying the same things. Not our fault. You should have did this. You should have did that. You wasn't going to win anyways. Both parties would be saying the same stuff. So I don't understand, stop your whining. After Brandon Ayuk said what he said, at least I'll give him that, because that was immediately after the game. That was that following week when Brandon Ayuk said what he said. And at least Brandon Ayuk had the sense to say, yeah, I can't really talk, and I'm at home watching the games on the couch. At least he acknowledged that fact. You know what I'm saying? So I understand him being mad, but we 4 months removed, bro. Like, stop it. That's going to be a good game. We're going to go at it again, and we're going to see what's what. But y'all wasn't running over us. Your defense was good, but so was our offense. Like, stop playing. So it's so funny how things like that get so one-sided. Like, so one-sided. Like, you don't know what was going to happen. So, we'll play you again. So we get, listen, weeks 11, 12, and 13, and 14, and 15. 11 through 15, we got the Chiefs, Bills, 49ers, at Cowboys, and at the Seahawks. So 11, we're at the Chiefs, Monday Night Football. 12, we got the Bills. 13, we got the 49ers at home. And that's a afternoon game. Week 14, we go to Dallas. And 15, we go to Seattle. So weeks 11 through 15, we got some battling to do. So all of that nonsense that everybody was talking about us having a weak schedule, you can kick all of that stuff out the door. But at the end of the day, whether we had a weak schedule or not, we did what we had to do to get what we had to get to. So they can talk all the smack, because everybody that has the easy schedule don't get to the Super Bowl. So, like, stop playing. So, but quit the whining, 49ers. We're going to see you, Debo, and we're going to see what's what. We're going to see if your defense is still tight without D'Amico Ryans. So y'all got some changes going up, and y'all still don't know what your quarterback situation is. Let's not count that out. Did Purdy catch lightning in a bottle? Is he going to be as effective this year coming? Because now we got tape on you. Now we know what to do and what not to do. So it's a whole different ball game. I see you, cousin. Love you. So we don't know what's going to happen. But everybody, everybody from San Francisco, just chill out. We'll see you when we see you. And of course, okay, so we got week 15, we go to Seattle. Week 16, the Giants. 17, the Cardinals. And 18, we're back at the Giants. Why do we always have the Giants like 2 games in like 3 or 4 weeks? They did that last year. I don't understand that. So we got to play the Giants twice in 3 weeks. That's stupid. And there's going to be more talk about this Christmas game in New York. This, in my opinion, this is where the NFL is just damn getting greedy. Just where they're getting greedy. You know what I mean? So Christmas Day. I don't know if this is Christmas Day, but Christmas is on a Monday this year. So basically, it's Monday Night Football at 4:30 in the afternoon. So, and are they still going to have a Thursday game too? Like, do they? I don't know, man. It's just, you know what? The NFL, if you look at the crux of it all, is when they put that 17th game in. That screwed everything up. You got that extra week. So they got to make everything fit. The players really didn't want 17 games. Now you got 18 weeks because of the bye. That's a long, man. Listen, man, this ain't baseball. That's a long season, bro. They did not want that extra game. Like, that's a heavy toll on the body. So, but it is what it is, man. Extra game check, I guess. Yeah, Sean, I know we have we got that tough schedule, man. Hey, shout out to Sean, man. I ran into Sean. I made a point to check out Sean when I was flying down to Atlanta. So we hooked up at the airport by his spot, took a couple pictures, man. So Sean, I appreciate you, brother. Always good, man. You always get good conversation like what you're doing, man, and you always support, bro. So I do appreciate you, man. But yeah, Philly, I love this schedule too, man. I like a tough schedule, so you can see what you got, and you can see what's what. So ain't no more excuses. This is a no excuses schedule, and not for nothing. Shoot, week 6 at the Jets. That's gonna be a game. Aaron Rodgers versus QB1, Jalen Hurts. So I got a feeling. I'm not sure yet if the Jets are going to be as good as everybody thinks they are. Aaron Rodgers is that dude, even though he crazy as hell, but he is that dude and he can make some things happen. But I'm just not convinced that the Jets are just going to automatically be the team to beat. But we'll see. We'll see. But we got a tight schedule. We definitely got a tight schedule. Thursday night, the Vikings Thursday night, and Thursday night, and then Monday night. Okay, I see what you're saying. So, it's just these schedules, man. NFL got greedy. They got greedy. So, but we'll see what's going to happen, man. Seahawks, Cowboys. Cowboys is always going to be good. I'm very curious as to what I got to start listening to Dallas Sports Talk Radio because I'm curious as to what their outlook is on Micah Parsons. Because at this point, he's just getting clown. I don't know why he always got something to say about the Eagles. He said the thing on draft day where he was all upset and sick to his stomach, and he went on and on about that rant. Then you saw him at the Sixers game. Now, I didn't necessarily mind the Sixers. He's from Pennsylvania. He went to Penn State. So it makes sense he would be a Sixers fan. So I'm good with that. But, of course, he got on the jersey, and everybody's like, man, you might as well just be an Eagle, man. And somebody, I meant to find it, somebody mocked up, they photoshopped an image of him with the Eagles uniform on. And I thought that was funny. And I'm very curious to see in Dallas, what are their thoughts about that? So, cuz you think You think Aaron is done? he done went to the secluded chamber one too many times. I don't know. Because I mean, let's don't get it twisted. He's a bad man now. So we'll see what happens if he can get a little bit of protection in front of him. But if he's running for his life, he has a tendency to get irritated very quickly. And I still want to know what they're gonna do with Zach Wilson. Wouldn't it be funny? Now, you know what? I ain't gonna say it. Don't wish nothing on nobody. Don't wish nothing bad on nobody. But if something happens to Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson got to play anyway. Here's the funny thing about Zach Wilson. You guys have heard me talk about this before. When you draft you pick your quote unquote franchise player, right? There was a round table and a very, very long discussion about that guy. They knew his tendencies. They knew all the rumors about being with his mom's best friend and that whole situation. So the Jets knew it. So for them to get into that type of situation, and that makes me think that maybe they didn't go as deep as they should have been. They worried about, him, sleeping with his mom's friend, and they should have been worried about what he was doing when he was in school. Now, we got into this conversation a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Jalen Carter. And of course, all of the news came out about Jalen Carter, and the kid that died has got a lawsuit against Jalen Carter. He's suing everybody. And oh yeah, I want $10 million from Jalen Carter too, or $40 million or whatever it is. But the thing is, the Eagles knew this was going to happen because the Eagles do their homework. The Eagles do their homework. I got a friend I told you that was scouting, and he kind of gave me the gist of what they do when they're scouting a player or a potential first-round player. They will go down on campus unbeknownst to you and do some recon because they need to know if they're about to drop 10 to 15 million on a player, they need to know what you're doing when you're not on the field. Are you out hitting the clubs? I wasn't joking when I made that comment to Ian talking about you got to draft somebody to keep players out the clubs. Teams are looking for guys like that. If you got one guy who's a loud enough voice, who has got that character, that personality that can keep some of your players out the club, yo, come on, man. Let's head on back. Nah. Come on. Every team has that dude. Or they had that dude where if you gonna do your dirt, don't do it around him. You wasn't trying to get drunk and do all of that stuff if you was hanging around Randall Cunningham because he wasn't about that business. So there's always guys in the locker room, and there's always people on the flip side too that are going to go the extreme and do the crazy stuff. So that goes back to the balance of personalities that are in the locker room that I was talking about earlier. You need that because there's always going to be somebody. We looking at the 76ers now. What's Harden's reputation? Harden's reputation is he loves the strip clubs. He a grown man with a lot of money. Sometimes they do that. But you got to be able to keep yourself out of trouble. You got to have, as a grown man, you really don't need handlers. But when you toting around that much money, Iverson was the same way. Iverson was the exact same way. But when you get that type of talent, what are you going to do? So it means something when you got people in the locker room that'll keep you pointed in the right direction. I'm glad Jalen Hurts is that dude, but Jalen Hurts is probably not going to the clubs. So you got to have somebody that can kind of be in that mix, but also be able to grab some of these young players and, hey, yo, man, hey, come on back. You need that in every locker room. Because now with social media and the way things go down, that might save your season. That might keep somebody from getting suspended or something like that. I've been in bars before back when I played, and I've heard conversations where people are looking to start stuff on purpose because they want to get something on, whip out their phone and videotape a clip of something and take it all out of context to build a case. Court of public opinion is worse than the courts nowadays. So I understand how important it is to get those guys in the locker room. We've got some very good personalities and veteran leadership. Let me be honest with you. I never would have thought that Slay would have been a captain. That's why he was so surprised when that's just hasn't been his MO, but at least he matured to a point where he welcomed the change and he was up for a change. And he was up for the duty, the challenge of it. Because you can tell he's very boisterous. He's very outgoing. Don't call me Darius, call me Slade when that whole first thing started. But he wasn't too far out there. And at least he's got some common sense. When you've been in the league this long, you're doing something right. Bradbury's more reserved. That's why I say Bradbury and Slade kind of balanced each other. And then you had CJ coming out of nowhere. And I didn't know what to expect from him, getting up in Tom Brady's face, looking at him and all of that. I'll never forget that. But when you ball like that, you can do like that. So we've got a lot of things going on. We are in good shape. The Eagles have reloaded. We're not finding pieces anymore. We are reloaded. Props to Howie. We have reloaded. I don't think our defense has lost a step. I think we actually got a little bit faster. So it's going to take a little bit of time. I am hoping that we don't have the same woes we did last year with the tackling issue, because you don't hit in camp. We were terrible the first 4 weeks, but so was everybody else. But the teams, it's almost like the pitch clock in baseball. The teams that get used to that pitch clock first are the ones that will have more success in the long run. It's no different. No different. We can adjust and be physical right off the bat, and it's a little bit harder because you don't bang at practice. So you got to get all of that muscle memory. Oh, come on, Don. Don't tell me that, man. 13-3? Ugh, you're killing me, Smalls. Don't even tell me that, bro. Sixers, you know what? I was saying this, I think I said this morning on Morning Coffee. If you don't check me out in the morning, if you ain't busy, Morning Coffee, rvntelevision.com/live. You can check me out Morning Coffee every Thursday at 7:30 a.m. But one of the things I mentioned was, still, that's early, but still, I don't want to see that. Put some points on the board, man. What are y'all doing? But everybody looked at when Harden had that bad game where he only had 14 points and all that kind of stuff. And my thing was, do you think Harden was just not shooting the ball right? Or like, what do you think he did different in the game where he scored 14 as opposed to the game he scored 42? And my point was, he's doing the exact same thing. He's not trying to miss shots, but the line between success and failure, especially playing basketball, is hair thin. So he's jumping up the same amount. He's flicking his wrist the same amount. His follow through is the same. The rotation is the same. They just not falling. You know, he's just off that hair, and you got to get into your rhythm and your muscle memory and all of that kind of stuff. Some days it's on, some days it's not. But he went out there and did the same thing he's been doing all year. The shots just didn't fall. And then, of course, you see the other night where he puts up big numbers. Again, he's doing the same thing. You got it. Exactly, Don. You got a bad day at the office, bro. It just sucks that that's when it happens. Like tonight, they can't have a bad day at the office. They need to end this series. It shouldn't go to a game 7. Like, they need to shut it down now. Extra day of rest for all the boys. Lord knows Joel Embiid needs it. Get that man all the rest he can get so we can continue to get better and get ready for that next round. So he's been putting in the work, and let's hope that they can overcome 13-3 to start. This I I don't like first impressions of a game, man. I don't like that, man. I don't like that. So, but we'll see what's going to happen. I'm about to turn this on. I got some Chick-fil-A in the kitchen that I'm about to go get into, man. But listen, I appreciate y'all, and do me a favor, jump on my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search Pro Fan Talk, and make sure you subscribe. I am trying to grow. I am trying to get up to above 1,000 subscribers before the football season starts in 2023. So help me get there. Tell your friends about me. Go to Pro Fan Talk on YouTube, subscribe, and as usual, check out the mothership, man. We got some big things popping. Irvin Fryer and Hollis Thomas has a new show on the mothership. Tom Arnone is doing the damn thing. Y'all better recognize. A2D is blowing up. The mothership is on the rise. I appreciate y'all for joining me. Great show today. I appreciate Ian, everybody that was in the chat. We got to keep this chat going. I'm trying to find a way to get this chat bigger because I love when all these opinions are coming through. I appreciate all my family, my dad, my mom, my cousin Tiff. You know I love you. I appreciate y'all, and I will see y'all next week. Go Birds. And ring that bell. Let's get these Sixers going. Let's go.